Ross Tucker, our good buddy, CBS Westwood One color analyst, and he joins us as usual on Monday, host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, also Even Money Podcast. He called Saturday's Chiefs-Raiders game on Westwood One. Can be found on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Poll question for Ross Tucker, Seton.
Dan, which team surprised you the most this season in a good way? With Jaguars, Giants, Seahawks, Lions.
Who would you pick?
Ooh, that's a good one. I saw the other one on social media about who was most disappointing, and I had a really good answer for that one. I didn't see this one yet. I would say probably the Seahawks. I thought they were going to be terrible. I mean, I really thought they were going to be bad. I thought Geno Smith would be a disaster. I got to be honest, it's got to be the Seahawks. I mean, for him to break the franchise record for yards, I know there's one more game now, but still, and to have the season that he had, no way in heck I thought the Seahawks had any chance of making the playoffs. So I think it's Seattle.
Yeah, I think we were all in on Seattle tanking this year, and Pete Carroll proved us wrong. Geno Smith proved us wrong. I wasn't surprised with Detroit because I thought Detroit would make the playoffs. I thought it would be 3 teams out of the division. Little did we know that Green Bay would not be one of those teams to get in. What did you read into Aaron Rodgers when he left the field last night, if anything?
Not a whole lot, Dan. I mean, it feels like this is the third year that we're going into the offseason of the unknown as it relates to Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's coming back. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. Now, maybe he won't, but I think he's supposed to make like $60 million. I got to check on that. I know it's a lot of money that is guaranteed, and it's totally up to him. If he wants to come back, he's getting that money. I don't think he wants to go out.
But do you think the Packers want him back?
I think they do, yes. And I also don't think they have much of a choice. Let's put it this way. If Rodgers says he's coming back, he's there because the financial implications of trying to trade him are not tenable. So it's really Rodgers. This is the first time, I think, Dan, in this situation where Rodgers has really had all the leverage and all the control, and he knows it. I think an interesting question is whether or not the Packers would prefer he retires.
Yeah.
I think probably not, but that's debatable. I think he comes back, though, because he doesn't want it to end that way. It's $60 million. He is very well aware of his legacy. And, you know, some of the young guys on defense and Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, they started to come along. I think Rodgers can look at next year and say, we have a chance to be a pretty darn good team and actually make a run.
How do you explain of the quarterbacks who played all 17 games? I think there's 5 or 6 that played all 17. Aaron Rodgers is the only one who didn't throw for at least 300 yards once in a game.
I can't. I didn't even know that till you just said that 5 seconds ago, so I can't explain it. That's shocking. He's clearly not as good as he used to be. I think it's hard to imagine, though, Dan, that you go from MVP to that much of a drop-off. And we still did see, like, that throw last night to Watson. It was a great catch by Watson, but Rodgers dropping it in the bucket, he still has it. I think it was a product of their receivers and him not being on the same page and the team electing to try to lean on the running game. But that surprised me. I did not realize that.
Yeah, 7 quarterbacks started all 17 of their team's games this season, but Rodgers, the only one who didn't have a 300-yard passing game. But then he'll make that throw to Watson, but then he has that throw at the end, the interception, where you're going, what was that?
It's a great point. And, you know, he almost had a couple others that were intercepted by the same guy. Yes. That guy, that rookie, Kirby Joseph, is like Rodgers' kryptonite. He's got his hands on like 5 or 6 balls from Rodgers in 2 games as a rookie. You're right, though. We didn't see that with Rodgers in the past. You know, his interception numbers were typically so low. And I don't know if he was just trying to make something happen or forcing it, or maybe in the past, he could make a throw like that and Devontae Adams would make him right, meaning even if he doesn't catch it, would knock it away. He doesn't have that same level of trust with these young guys.
If you're looking to turn a small bet into a big payday, DraftKings Sportsbook same-game parlays, you can pocket more cash when you combine multiple bets in one game. Download the app, sign up with the code Patrick. Do you have parlays for the games coming up this weekend, Ross Tucker?
I've got two I like. Yes, I came prepared.
Okay.
Two that I like right now. One is, and it's plus 250 at DraftKings, and for the 49ers, George Kittle, 1 receiving touchdown, and Christian McCaffrey, 75-plus rushing yards. Purdy throws a touchdown pass to Kittle every game. That's like, Kittle is like Purdy's guy. So I feel good about that. The McCaffrey one's a little bit because they're getting Elijah Mitchell back. I think they'll probably have a decent lead. I don't know that Shanahan will necessarily get McCaffrey to over 75 yards, but I feel pretty good about that. I think the one I feel better about, Dan, is the Chargers playing in Jacksonville Saturday night. Justin Herbert, 275-plus passing yards. That seems like a pretty good bet. And then Austin Eckler, 1 rushing touchdown, is plus 275 on DraftKings. Austin Eckler scores a touchdown every game of his whole career.
Yeah.
I've never watched a Chargers game where Eckler doesn't have at least 1 touchdown.
Now he hasn't scored a touchdown in every game, Ross.
No, I know. I'm exaggerating for effect.
Wow, that was great effect there. I'm curious what you think of the Cowboys going into their game in Tampa after what happened against Washington. How do you shake off a game like that?
I have no idea what either the Cowboys or the Chargers were doing yesterday, Dan. I mean, the Cowboys, you can a little bit understand because if the Eagles lost to the Giants, then they would have been able to win the NFC East. And I get that, but it's like scoreboard watch or something. Yeah. I mean, both of those teams, right? They played their starters. So their starters didn't get their rest. I think the quarterbacks came out with like 5 minutes left for both of them. They got some guys banged up. I saw Jaron Kearse go off for the Cowboys. Bosa went off for the Chargers. Of course, the most notable one's Mike Williams for the Chargers, and they both lost.
I know.
I mean, that's like hitting for the cycle, Dan. Like you play, they didn't get the rest. You got some guys dinged up, and you lost the game. They accomplished nothing. You win nothing.
A couple other things. When you start to look at the field in the NFC, the team to beat is who?
I still think it's the Eagles, but I think the Niners are the best team right now.
Okay.
I think that the Niners having to win in Philadelphia will not be easy. And I know that the Niners are playing better right now. I always wonder, like, how much will that mean 3 weeks from now when they likely face each other in the NFC Championship, right? Like, if the Eagles are still kind of not playing at their best and the Niners are still on a roll, then okay. But I don't know. I've just seen it. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, they barely beat the Falcons in the divisional round with Foles not looking good. And then they annihilated the Vikings. So because the game's in Philadelphia, because the Eagles still have the best roster, even though they haven't finished the regular season as strongly, I still think they're the team to beat in the NFC.
The team to beat in the AFC.
It's the Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, it's the Chiefs. Although I will say this, in the AFC, no result, Dan, between Bengals, Bills, Chiefs would surprise me. I mean, the Bengals have the toughest road because likely they're playing, first of all, they got to play the Ravens that are going to be at full strength, we think. Then they got to play at Buffalo, we think. And then if they win that, it would be at Kansas City. So Cincinnati has by far the toughest path. But I think those 3 teams are basically even right now. I mean, it's a coin flip that, by the way, that the Bengals didn't have to do. But it's a coin flip between Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals for me right now. So you have to say Chiefs because they have the easiest path.
You mentioned the Ravens, Lamar Jackson expected back, but this is a guy who's missed at least 5 games in each of the last 2 seasons, I think. And as you move forward with this, do you want to invest $45, $50 million a year in Lamar Jackson?
I'm fine with that average. I'm not fine with the Deshaun Watson contract, right? We know that that's why Lamar didn't sign what the Ravens offered him. He wants a fully guaranteed deal. I'm just not doing that, Dan, if I'm the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he insists on that again this year, I'll franchise tag him, but I'm not doing that. He's missed a bunch of games the last 2 years. And the only guy that got a contract like that, Deshaun Watson, he looks terrible. I mean, I don't think he looks very good at all. Deshaun Watson certainly not helping Lamar Jackson's case. Neither did Lamar this year. I don't think Lamar had a great year. Second year in a row, he's been banged up. I think they want him there. I think they'll offer him $45 million a year. Maybe they'll even offer him $50 million a year. But it's not going to be 5 years fully guaranteed. You just can't do that in the sport of football, especially the way he plays the position.
Do you want to go through all of the games and give me your picks for this weekend?
Sure. With the spread or no?
Yeah, with the spread.
Oh, geez. Okay, I'm not ready for that. Go ahead.
All right.
I'll
Seahawks plus 10.5 against the Niners.
I'll take the Seahawks. 10.5's a lot.
All right.
I'll take the Seahawks.
Chargers giving 1.5.
I like the Chargers to win that game. I was not overly impressed by the Jags Saturday night. I think the Chargers win that game. I will lay the 1.5 with the Chargers, but the better play there is to take the Jaguars up to plus 7.5 as one leg of a 2-team teaser. We got to find a partner with it, but the Jags up to 7.5 in a 2-team 6-point teaser would be the play there.
All right. Dolphins getting 10.5 at Buffalo.
I hate laying 10.5, but that's a game I feel like you almost have to stay away from, Dan, until we get some clarity on quarterback, right? Is there any chance Tua plays, or are they shutting him down? If he doesn't, is it Bridgewater? I stay away until I have some type of clarity on quarterback.
I would also worry about the emotional letdown for Buffalo. Like, it was so emotional yesterday against New England. It's hard to match that again. Now, granted, I'm talking about covering, not just winning the game.
Yes.
But so we have to factor that in. The Giants are getting 3 at the Vikings.
I would take the Giants. Yeah. I mean, they rested their guys. They played they lost by a field goal. I think it was overtime when they played there a couple weeks ago. I think Daboll's a heck of a coach. That feels like a field goal game to me either way. So take the 3 with the G-men.
The Ravens getting 6.5 at Cincinnati.
Boy, that's a pretty big unknown with what we're going to get from Lamar Jackson. That's a tough one. I'd probably take the Ravens. They get Dobbins back. They get Mark Andrews back. I think they're going to be able to keep that one competitive. They're going to run Lamar because there is no tomorrow. I'd probably take the Ravens in the points. I think the Bengals win, but I'll take the 6.5.
I don't know the last time Tom Brady was an underdog at home in a playoff game, but he is against the Cowboys. 3.
I think I'd take the Bucs in the 3. I think it's going to be a close game. Dak's not playing well. Dak doesn't look good. The Cowboys are kind of limping into this game. This feels identically to me like the Giants-Vikings, where I feel like it's a field goal game either way. So give me the Bucs getting the 3. Maybe they win. If they don't, even if they lose by a field goal, you push.
Good to talk to you as always, bud. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, can't wait. Thank you, Dan.
That's Ross Tucker, CBS Westwood One color analyst and gambler.